computer. Hi, my name is Renee Hobbs, and welcome to COM 416. It's the undergraduate class on propaganda at the University of Rhode Island's Harrington School of Communications Media. Today's date is Tuesday, March 26th, and our topic is computational propaganda. And that's really just a fancy new term for the way in which social media bots and trolls are used for shaping public opinion. All right, so I see on the call with me tonight is Tom, Jessica Ouellette, Olivia Murray, Rachel, and Pam. So thank you for joining. If you're watching us on the recording, that's great. We're glad you're watching on the recording, but we're even more happy to have you students here with us live, because then we'll have a little bit more fun. Let me talk about what we're going to try to do tonight. I'm taking you, of course, to the COM 416 homepage. That's Propaganda 2017 or Propaganda 2019. And well, there's our topic. I looked really hard for a picture that would fit for the theme tonight. What do you think? It's even got the cat, right? Because that's how these trolls got started, right? So one of the things I'd like to do is talk just a little bit about what I'm noticing on the path right. And then, of course, we're going to talk about last minute questions you might have about LEAP 2. We're going to do some amazing research demonstrations by trying to identify our fake friends on Facebook. Then we're going to watch two really interesting videos about how Russian trolls weaponize your social media, and how does a Russian troll actually work. And our discussion question tonight is, what are the similarities and differences between a Russian troll and Ryan Holiday? Yeah, interesting. And then we'll talk about next week, which even gets more interesting. All right, so let me just make some comments on the path right. I am super pleased at the way in which you are tackling the learning activities. I'm really seeing evidence that you are getting into the swing of it. So, for instance, I got a chance to review how you handled Noam Chomsky, right? And was very pleased to see a robust dialogue from you on the 5 filters of the propaganda model. And so I'm really happy at the ways in which you are doing some real reflective thinking on this topic. I also was so impressed at the way you managed the annotation, the digital annotation process. And for all of you who not just, let's see, you had to ask 2 questions, you had to summarize, and you had to analyze, right? But you also did some talking back to each other, right? And I really got the feeling like you are starting to pull out some of the big ideas from this work. And so just want to point out that as you start preparing for your LEAP 3 and for your final exam, these things are going to be really amazing. And Pam, I have to comment on this amazing little annotation that you offered to us in the article that we read for Noam Chomsky, because it's absolutely adorable. You pulled out a very old quote that offers a very sharp counterpoint to the Chomsky-Herman model, which some critics say is kind of like a conspiracy theory, you know, the big bad media. And I just really appreciated that. This is a dialogue between a journalist and a fictional bartender. The newspaper does everything for us. It runs the polls, for us and the banks, and commands the military and controls the legislature and baptizes the young and marries the foolish, comforts the afflicted, afflicts the comfortable, buries the dead, and roasts them afterward, right? So you share a really important counter point of view to Chomsky. So I'm appreciative of this because I'm throwing a lot of complicated ideas at you, as I said I would after the midterm, right? And I totally respect if you find the five filter model to be compelling, then more power to you, because truthfully, these days it is pretty compelling, right? And if you don't believe this theory has much value because it might be too cynical, or it might be a conspiracy, or you just really trust journalists or want to believe that people aren't trying to scam you all the time, then more power to you for that. So I really was pleased to see the quality of thinking that's happening in your managing of these learning activities. Because after all, in an online class, right, you're thinking about the ideas of the class and kind of trying to express what you're thinking and listening or reading what other people are thinking. Well, like, that's the learning. And it's a different kind of learning than sitting in a classroom for 3 hours a week, right? Because it's actually kind of more work in a way. But I am so pleased to see you do that. And another thing I noticed that you guys have been doing very nicely, and let me just share my screen so I can point out something I thought is really nice that's happening now on the thing is, and you probably have figured this out already, right? You know why I ask you to sometimes tweet, right? You know why I'm asking you to sometimes tweet, right? Because I'm trying to get you to think about your identity, you know, as a public communicator, and maybe even as a propagandist, or at least a critical thinker about propaganda. And I see some very good evidence here on the Twitter that you are thinking a lot about what you're encountering, right? Olivia, I am especially pleased with how skillfully you made the link to the Peter Pomerantsev video on postmodern propaganda. You essentially extracted that from the Pathright and shared it. I liked it so much that I'm retweeting it to my 8,300 followers, because I want other people to watch that video as well, right? And so I'm really thrilled. Now, Pam, of course, I know you're an expert on this public communication stuff. You have been, and you've had much more experience than these young'uns as well. So I wanted to call out what a very good way that you leveraged hashtags here in order to make sure that your work finds an audience, right? So you've offered an opinion about this scary computational propaganda, and you've used hashtags really well for that. And I also appreciate how you've called out the names of some of the players, like here, the very influential Oxford Internet Institute. So in general, I'd say I'm really pleased with the way in which you are making the most of your online learning. And that's just something I feel really happy about. Okay, so now let me just go back to my, where is my, I've got to go find my page again here. Hold on here. I guess it's under propaganda2019.com. So what's next on our thing? Oh, we're going to talk about questions, last minute questions. Last minute questions on Leap 2 due this Friday. First question was asked right before we started, or right when we started, which was, could we have an extension? And of course the answer is no. This project is due this Friday at midnight. What other questions do you have?
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
On the Piktochart platform, is there a way you can collaborate, or
Actually,
do you just have to like have it on one person's account and then like add to the one?
yeah, so the ability to collaborate is a paid feature of Piktochart, and so I think that's way too expensive for you to bother with. Some students have used a shared account, right? And so if you use
that's a good idea.
the same email and password, then you can kind of take turns. Pam, did you find a workaround to that?
Yeah. When I tried the team, the Piktochart for team the first time, it seemed to let me have a trial period, but then I never saw what I was seeing in the tutorial about the team thing. So I went back and tried it again. And of course they wanted a credit card, and but you can cancel your trial membership at any time. You get 30 days. So I gave them my numbers, and I will cancel as soon as this is over.
Before they have a chance to charge you.
Yes.
Oh, you're a genius. Okay, well that's.
But it works. It was it finally let Jessica in, and I was able to invite team members.
Cool. Okay, that's cool. So take advantage of the 30-day free trial if you want, or share the same account name and password, or divide the labor in some other way. So great question. Wow, really happy you asked that. Thanks a lot. What other questions do you have? Okay, so no other questions. All right, so I have a question for you. And so I guess I'm going to stop share for a moment. What's the difference between a bot and a troll? When you hear the word bot, you think blah, blah, blah. When you hear the word troll, you think blah, blah, blah. Anybody want to take a stab at it?
I'll go. When I hear the word bot, I think something that's computer generated, but I don't necessarily think that when I hear the word troll.
Got it. So bot's a machine algorithm, and troll is a human being. Cool. Any other ways you think about the difference between a bot and a troll?
When I think of bot, I think virality. And when I think of trolls, I think of targeted attacks.
Very, very nice. We learned this week about the idea that bots are often used for amplification, right? They help a message to spread widely. So that's why you think of virality. And you said when you hear troll, you think of more targeted communication. Can you say more about that?
I guess because when I first heard about trolls, it was in a feminist context, that almost every feminist blogger I knew was getting trolled, which meant that there were people who were, just going in and saying horrible things on their blog posts a lot to try and shut them up. So I guess that's my bias, that I think of it as a targeted attack.
Mm-hmm. And thank you for reminding us about how trolls really came into public awareness when they attacked Anita Sarkeesian, the feminist who runs the blog called Feminist Frequency, right? Their attack on her was so vicious and dangerous, really, that for many of us, it was the first time we learned about the damage that trolls could do. Okay, so let's play the fake friends detection game. I found this really cool tool And I was thinking about how when you guys go home, oh no, that's not it. Hold on, let me just get the right, is that it right there? There we go. When you guys go home to your families this spring or summer, you might want to show this to your parents. Because you know your parents use Facebook more than you do, really, don't they? Right? And I don't know if there's a tool like this for Instagram. I will, of course, give extra credit if someone can find me a tool like this. But I stumbled across this really interesting tool called StalkScan, stalkscan.com. It's basically a website that is leveraging the social graph of Facebook, right? And the social graph is basically all the content that you share, that users share. A lot of that is hard for us to see, but this website essentially basically only shows hidden content that you have access to. It's all the public info that Facebook doesn't let you see. So I went to my Facebook friends. How did I do that? I went to my Facebook friends and I found, you know, I have a lot of friends, right? I have a lot of Facebook friends because I travel all over the world and I'm really old and I have a lot of Facebook friends. And I went through my list and I found a lot of names of people I didn't know. Okay, I mean, and a lot of sketchy characters, I might say, right? I mean, truly, who are these clowns, right? So I started just like trying to pay attention to the people I didn't know, and I ran across this guy, Philemon Holland. In fact, he's not yet a friend. He has sent me, as you can see up here, he has sent me a friend request. In the old days, I used to just say yes to my friend request because it was so flattering. Oh, how wonderful. Do you want to be a friend with me? Yes, of course. I want to be a friend with you. But now I've gotten a little more savvy, and so I use StalkScan to see who are these clowns. So I take the URL, right, and I pop it into the StalkScan right there. And this is just an efficient way for me to see who is this guy, Philemon Holland. So first I'll take a look at what pictures has he uploaded. Okay. Whoa. All right. So it's interesting that he is speaking several languages, or that several languages are in use here. Let me see about what he's posting. Okay. And I'm just looking to see, you know, if he's friends with me, it's probably has something to do with media literacy, right? So I just want to see, like, what is he posting? And it looks really strange, but there's definitely stuff in French, right? There's definitely stuff in French, and it does show that there's some kind of community here, right? Okay, well then that's maybe something to think about. So let me see about his family. Nope, no family. Okay, how about his friends? No friends. Okay, that's a little bit suspicious, right? What about his classmates? Nope. Let's see. Do you guys want me to look at anything else?
But if you have no friends and you have no friends in common, I often look to see that. But
these are the photos that he posted.
Stock photos.
Okay. Weird. All right. It's now time for you to vote. Thumbs up if you think I should be friends with Philemon Holland, and thumbs down if you think I should not be friends with him. Go ahead. Thumbs up. Okay, got it. All right. Let me show you another one that's just as funny. This guy. So Philemon, I'm deleting the request. Oh wait, hold on. I've got to share my screen so you guys can see what I'm doing here. I'm deleting my requests. I'm suspicious that he's a real person, or I'm not sure what he is. I am noticing that he seems like he's very critical of being anti-vax, but I don't really care about that. So I'm deleting the request. Another guy I found on my list. Oh yeah, right here. Bill Herney. Bill Herney. This guy was on my list too. Check him out. And you know, I live in Newport, so I saw this picture and it's got the sailing. And it's like, oh, we have sailing in common. That's cool. Right. So I popped Bill Herney's URL into the stalk scan. Okay, now this is really creepy. Okay, just saying. Pictures. All right, just one. How about family? No family. What is he posting? He's not posting anything. Okay, what about his pictures? Nothing. Nothing. All right, posts. Okay, so this is like somebody who made a profile picture on December 18th and requested my friendship and isn't really participating at all, right? Is he in any groups? He's not really in any groups. So that's another mystery. I already know to delete this guy's account. Now, I wonder, do you guys think you have any fake friends on Facebook? Or do you have any fake friends on Instagram or Snap? Let me hear from you. What's your perception? Jessica, I can't hear you.
What if he was just like really private and like had all of his privacy settings on? Because like I do that. And, like you can't see any of my stuff unless you're friends with me.
That's a good point.
And you weren't friends with him, so.
Right. So in fact, he may be a real sailor and a private guy. And if I became friends with him, I would see all his posts that he wanted his friends to see. You're right. He could be a really private guy. So I shouldn't assume that he doesn't exist or he's a troll just because because he's set his privacy settings really, really restrictively. Great point. So do you guys have any fake friends?
Well, I'm also private on Instagram and like everything, but I get a new follower or a couple followers a day with like 0 mutual friends, like just trying to follow me, like random like things that like accounts that I follow. If it's like a dog like Instagram, like I get like 5 new followers from other dog Instagrams that same day. So they just try and like they want you to follow them.
Aha!
Get more followers.
Got it. So there's that sense of if you follow them, if they follow you, you'll follow them, and that's the way you build followers.
And it's like the same with like meme accounts and stuff. Like they just want more followers, so they'll follow you if you see that if you're following like other accounts like them.
Right. Right. Thanks for sharing. Other perspectives. Do you think you have any fake friends on Instagram or Facebook or Snap?
Probably do, just from like not caring when I was in like high school about who's friends with me on Facebook.
Got it.
Yeah, I think I definitely did on Facebook when I was younger, when I didn't care and I would accept everyone. But I've recently gone through all of my friends and I only have like 200 friends on Facebook now, so that I know everyone and I care about like the people that I am friends with. Like I expect them to care about what I'm posting. It's not just going to be like another person on their feed, you know?
Right. So for me, I have a lot of work to do to clean up my Facebook friends, and the StockScan tool is one that makes me think a lot about the issue of friends who might have locked up their accounts, who are private, and it also makes me think a little bit about trolls. And so that's the topic we're going to turn to next. We're going to talk a little bit about trolls. I guess there are two related activities. Best way for me to show this to you is to go back to our page. We're talking about computational propaganda. We're going to watch a Vox video called How the Russian Trolls Weaponize Your Social Media. And here, what I'm hoping you do is just take a sheet of paper and sit alongside me, and we're going to try to pull out the compelling phrases. So we're going to watch and listen for compelling phrases, right? And then we're going to go inside a Russian troll's life, and we're going to see what he actually does. And then we're going to see, we're building to this interesting question: what are the similarities and differences between a Russian troll and the work of Ryan Holiday? We're going to do that whole conversation in about 20 minutes. Give me a thumbs up if you know what we're going to be doing now. Okay, so why don't we watch this together? Well, let's see if that works.
I have a 1,000-word essay due tomorrow that I haven't.
I guess we have to watch the propaganda.
Because I have an essay. I automated the writing process.
What a coincidence! Why do you think they are sharing this with me?
Editor searches millions of websites
right?
for relevant content to
You
your
can skip the ad.
content.
How to write a fake research report.
Attempted to influence the U.S. presidential election. Meddling campaign carried out by the Russians, authorized at the highest level.
Russian interference in the 2016 presidential election is now pretty well documented. From hacking voter registration rolls,
Russia is behind a cyber attack on a contractor for Florida's election system,
to leaking stolen DNC emails.
The Russians were responsible for hacking the DNC.
But perhaps their most ingenious tool is this. It's a video of a guy watching news coverage of ISIS taking credit for an explosion at a chemical plant in Louisiana. If you're having trouble remembering this horrifying chemical plant explosion, well, that's because it never happened.
Oh man, this is fucked up.
So if this totally legit American accent didn't already tip you off, this video is a fake. It's the handiwork, and I'm using that term loosely here, of a shadowy Russian organization with ties to the Kremlin called the Internet Research Agency. The agency does a lot more than video. Fake Russian accounts posing as Americans have released a barrage of social media posts. The topics of these posts vary, but the goal is always the same: to spread fear and drive Americans' opinions to the extremes.
Russia wants to destabilize Western democracies. The Russian effort stands out just in terms of the financing behind it and the level of organization that we saw in this campaign.
Thanks to a recent federal indictment, we now know more than ever about how exactly Russia has been shaping the opinions of the American public. Russians employed by people with ties to the Kremlin are asked to create convincing social media accounts that can pass as real Americans. Every so often, they're instructed to incorporate a Kremlin-approved message into their posts. Then other professional internet trolls at the agency, sometimes with the aid of bots, comment on and share that original post. If the trolls are successful, the messages promoted in these fake posts will leave the circle of fake accounts and be shared by actual Americans. These operations employ VPNs, that's virtual private network, that can mask their computer's IP address to create the appearance that their posts originate in the US. And they even make sure to post during US daytime hours to make their posts appear more plausible. There's ample proof that this scheme occurred during the election, and even as recently as the Parkland shooting in Florida. It's not that the Russian government cares specifically about American gun rights or ISIS activity in the US. The point is to create division and fear.
They figure anything that destabilizes Europe or the United States redounds to their benefit. So they understand that our society is very divided now. There are divisions based on race, economic interest, as well as political persuasion. It's actually very easy to pit groups against one another.
The Russian government originally deployed internet trolls within Russia. In 2011, the country was roiled by protests in response to the election that year, which was criticized for being fraudulent. The government reacted by cracking down on the internet, but also employed internet trolls to counter the protesters by spreading pro-Kremlin propaganda. While Russian trolls were proven to have spread misinformation during the 2016 election, the actual effect they had on the election is very difficult, if not impossible, to prove. But the idea of a foreign government trying to drive a wedge between the American public is extremely worrying. Twitter has removed nearly 4,000 accounts found to be operated by Russian trolls. And Facebook has promised changes to its algorithm for how it serves up content in your newsfeed to help combat the problem. But these social media companies don't acknowledge the divisiveness that's homegrown. It's easy to suspend inauthentic and foreign social media accounts. But what about when real Americans are posting about virtually the same thing?
Too many Americans are getting all their information from one source, whether it's a liberal, moderate, or a conservative site. That's dangerous just in and of itself, but especially dangerous during an era of false or misleading information. The most important thing the average news consumer can do is to rely on a diversity of sources of information.
So if you're looking for content that shows off the lighter side of social media, our sister site Eater has this amazing series about what it takes to make food go viral. In general, if you're looking for really cool food content, Eater has you covered, so go check them out.
Okay. All right, we're going to start with the first little bit of conversation. What are some similarities and differences between trolls and Ryan Holiday? I'm going to break you into small groups and you're going to talk that idea over. Give me a thumbs up if you know the question we're talking about, right? All right, cool. There you go. We're opening the rooms. Let's just talk for 3 or 4 minutes about this. Okay, I think we're still waiting for a couple of the other group members to come back and finish their conversation. Okay, they're back. Wonderful. Thank you so much for coming back into the large group. Why don't we see if we can synthesize some of the most interesting ideas that emerged from your short discussion. Remember, we're discussing the question, what are the similarities and differences between a Russian troll and the work of Ryan Holiday? It's like a Venn diagram. What are the similarities and what are the differences?
In our group, we kind of talked about how a similarity could be while Ryan Holiday uses kind of like he plays on people's emotional response to get people to click on articles and to be like know more about a company and to get them brand awareness. Whereas, you know, trolls are doing the same thing. They want to provoke emotional response and they want to get people to read their content and create some kind of like tension or problem.
Bravo! So activating strong emotion is something both Ryan Holiday and the trolls are all about. Keep going. Other similarities and differences between Russian trolls and Ryan Holiday.
Ryan Holiday may have had more of a conscience because he's written his book now and he's warning people against it, whereas Russian trolls don't have that.
Brilliant. I absolutely think that's right. The second half of the book, Ryan apologizes practically for all his dirty tricks, but I don't know about the trolls. Great. What else?
They're both driven by attention.
Explain.
So like their sole purpose is to like get foot traffic and like attract attention to the message they're trying to promote. Like Ryan Holiday, it was for his clients, and like trolls are forever like the whatever they're trying to promote. So like morally, there's not really as many morals for either of them, as long as like in the end means they promote the attention they're trying to seek out.
Brilliant. So that quest for likes and that quest for attention is something they have in common. Good. What else? What do Ryan Holiday and the Russian trolls have in common, and how are they different?
Our group kind of talked about how in the second half of Ryan Holiday's book, he talks about the bloggers who post for views and how they tend to like share stories that weren't exactly true, and the bots are sharing stories that aren't true. So they're like spreading misinformation for attention.
Yeah. So apparently you could put a piece of junk on a blog and drive traffic there and then trade it up the chain, remember, to a more reputable organization and spread misinformation that way. Good.
Yeah, and that also goes into how like they're both like kind of like creating division and fear among the two groups. Like if like Ryan Holiday talked about like how bloggers would spread like the misinformation in the second half, where they weren't necessarily credible sources that they were talking about, and like we were saying that like they choose, like the viewers are going to choose a side, and that creates division among like people that you're friends with on Facebook or whoever you're sharing it to.
That is a really key point. I remember when I first heard the news on social media that Jon Stewart was basically discriminating against women in his organization. I was really outraged, right? And I was, like so disappointed because I like Jon Stewart so much. And then, so to read in Ryan Holiday's book, right, that this was a complete fabrication by Iron Carmen. It was faked in order to hurt Jon Stewart, gets at that very point of creating division, right, as an intentional strategy to harm, right? So it's hard to be aware of when that happens, but boy, we know that's something that bots and trolls can do.
Well, and he also made the point that it was really about her just trying to get a lot of traffic to her site too, right? Because Jon Stewart is somebody that a lot of people either love or hate. And
Right.
so saying something outrageous about him would get a lot of attention.
So that could be another similarity then between Russian trolls and Ryan Holiday in the sense of exploiting the already famous, right? Exploiting the famous or well-known individuals to kind of, get closer to a mass audience. Okay, so we're only going to watch a little bit of the second video, but I think it's useful and it may even deepen our thinking about this interesting question. Okay, this is a Time magazine video called, it is attached to an article called "A Former Russian Troll."
Welcome to our lounge. Enjoy your stay. Thanks very much.
Find calm in over 1,000.
Sorry, I'm going to just mute the microphone here. This was a really, and this one is not embedded, right? So, okay, there we go.
Внимательно следите за тем, что видите в интернете.
Be careful,
Не
pay
доверяйте
attention. Don't
всем и
trust
вся
everyone
в
on
социальных
social
сетях,
media sites, and
и
you
вы не
won't
попадете в
fall
ловушку.
for the traps that trolls have. This is Vitaly Bespalov, a Russian journalist. For 3 months, he worked at Shavushkina, a troll factory in St. Petersburg. He agreed to show Time how a Russian troll operates.
He's a baby.
I have on my table a few SIM cards. In Russia, they cost approximately $3.
Около $3 на русские деньги, на рубли.
These SIM cards are inserted in the phone and are necessary to register on any social media sites.
Для регистрации во всех социальных сетях.
I just inserted one of these cards in my Samsung phone.
В старый телефон Samsung. Примерно таких же.
We have the same cards as in Shavushkina in order to constantly change SIM cards. And I'm looking at VK, which is the Russian equivalent of Facebook. We're registering the account under a female profile, which is always a good tactic. Females appear more trustworthy, at least in Russia. I'm registering, her name is Maria Ivanova, putting her in, her birth date is May 14th, 1994, and registering her.
Будет 94-го года, это не важно. Зарегистрировать.
Here, the phone number. This is why we use the SIM card. I receive the code, type it in, and make up a password. Troll 666! And enter the site. That's it. We created a fake account, and as you can see, it only took 3 minutes, maybe even less. The most important thing is to set up a profile photo. This is what trolls do. Just type in any name, for example, Svetlana, a beautiful Russian name. Svetlana. We save and download the photo. I copy the photo and put it in the avatar. I had one more picture on her profile, pretending to be a real person. This is how trolls work. This is how I worked at Shavushkina and would use this ammunition. I'm now opening the site nachnews.org. It's a fake Ukrainian site. As you can see, Kharkov is written here, which is the city in Ukraine, and it has the colors of the Ukrainian flag. It's done to look like the site is based from the Ukraine, but that is false. The site operated from St. Petersburg by the people who most likely have never even been to the Ukraine, but writing articles as if they were. I select a news article about the Boeing MH17 crash in Donbass. Maybe you remember this story from 3 years ago when a Boeing was hit above eastern Ukraine. Here it's saying that it was because of Ukrainian missiles. We grab that link and copy it. So that's a conspiracy theory, basically. We grab that link and copy it. We open a list of groups. We choose any of the groups in a big Russian town. For example, Fisovsk, which is a beautiful Russian town. We select the group Region 60 Pskov and paste the link to the article in the comments section. We're pretending that the young woman, Maria Ivanova, became so interested in this article that she wants to share it with everybody. That's what the trolls did. They went to as many groups as possible related to Moscow or any big cities, posted these links they call spam. But these links didn't look like spam. They looked like they came from a real person who has a photo, a name, a birthday, as if that person is just sharing information. I imagine that the trolls who worked for an American audience operated in the same way. And use the same mechanism, sharing information under fake accounts. And you can do that very fast if you have many SIM cards that only cost $3. In 1 hour, you can create 10 to 15 accounts. Steal and post other people's photos and share any kind of information. Okay, so what'd you learn? What'd you notice about that video, and what'd you learn?
That it was easy to make a fake account. Doesn't require much information.
Yep, what else?
That there are troll factories.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What else did you learn? How old was that kid?
Young.
How old was he?
17, 18.
Well, let's ask the girls. What do they think?
Probably like
young,
16, 17.
Yeah.
He could have even been
young enough to like not realize the damage he was doing by creating. Like I feel like he didn't really fully understand what he was doing by promoting what he was promoting, or like how big an influence he had in doing what he was doing.
It was probably just a great, a good paying job, right?
Right, kids will do anything for money.
But kudos to him for coming out and doing that article, which I'm assuming doesn't make him real popular in some segments in Russia. So
good point.
It didn't take him nearly as long as it took Ryan Holiday to get a conscience. Just saying.
Yeah, just saying. That's a good point. He only did it for, what, 3 months?
Yeah.
Right. So whereas Holiday did his for several years. Okay, well, wonderful. Well, thank you for a great discussion. That's kind of what I was hoping to accomplish with that fun activity. Now I want to just review for you what's coming up next, all right? So you can see my screen. I'm at the path right. Next week's topic is equally mind-blowing, maybe even more so. The topic is, how is propaganda amplified by partisanship? And these days, partisanship is sometimes called network propaganda. We're going to be looking at the work of this brand new book on networked propaganda written by a Yale law professor named Yochai Benkler. So let me see if I can look at this the way you guys see it. I think I can do that. View as the learner does. So first thing we're going to do is we're just going to read a very short book review. It's just a 2-page book review about this book. And after you read the book review, I'd like you to choose one of the following questions. What are the major ideas of the book, according to the book reviewer? And do you agree or disagree with the major claims of the book? Explain your reasoning. After you read the book review, well, then we're going to go a little bit deeper. We're going to read a magazine article from Columbia Journalism Review, right? And after you read that article, what I'd like you to do is answer both of the questions below. You have to find an example of current networked partisan propaganda and post it to the Padlet wall. So the first question is, find a meaningful quote or piece of evidence from the article that explains one of the key features. So networked partisan propaganda is defined as a potent mix of facts, verifiable facts, familiar repeated falsehoods, paranoid logic, consistent political orientation within a mutually reinforcing network of like-minded sites. That's why it's called networked partisan propaganda. And then you're going to have to figure out what kind of example can I find of partisan propaganda. You're going to post it to the Padlet wall and with a comment on why you think it is an example of networked partisan propaganda. I think many of you have used a Padlet wall before. It's pretty easy to post a message. You simply double click, and now notice that you can upload a document, you can add a photo, you can make a URL, you can add voice or screen, or you can draw or doodle, but that's where you'll post your example and your comment. So that's really going to help us generate some examples to see how we understand partisan networked propaganda in our, in our real life. Oh, sorry, I'm in the wrong place. How did I get to the wrong place there? That's weird. Oh, I know how I did that. Okay, I was way back. I was showing you how great you guys were doing, but here's where I am. I'm showing you what you're going to be doing. Okay, so read about research and find examples of oh yeah, all right, there we go. So after you do that activity, that's just this one magazine article. Again, not a very long thing, but check out the topic. Study, Breitbart-led right-wing media ecosystem altered broader media agenda. After you try to find some examples, I'd like you to watch this short piece from the Washington Post and respond to the question, how does this video relate to the ideas about network partisan propaganda? To respond to the question, make one substantive comment to explain what you've learned. One of the best ways to do this is to use the video. And you guys have used this before. You remember how it works?
Is a greater threat to this republic and the Constitution than anything Vladimir Putin did during the campaign.
Robert Mueller is more dangerous than Vladimir Putin. You watch, you find a spot that you're interested in linking, and you use after you sign in, you get access to the comment button. You remember how to do this. So we're really trying to figure out, how does this video relate to the ideas that you're learning about networked partisan propaganda? Okay, so that's the next activity. And then we're getting close. We'll have our class next Tuesday on April 2nd. And do me a big favor. Between now and next week, read about your activity for Leap 3. I've posted Leap 3. Leap 3 is your final leap for this semester, and I'll answer any questions you might have about Leap 3 next week. Okay? All right, so networked propaganda is going to take us into some complicated political territory as we think about the mainstream media versus the right-wing media, right? And this is a fascinating aspect of contemporary propaganda that you guys are living through at this very moment in our history. So I can't make, I'm trying to make this class as contemporary as I can, but this is like the bleeding edge topic, right? With this research, the research that you're going to read about, literally hot off the press. So we're going to be venturing into this interesting topic. Put your critical thinking hats on as you move through these activities, but have fun with it. Especially fun will be searching for examples, right, that relate to your own life. Okay, if you guys have any questions between now and next Tuesday, of course, you know the best way to reach me, right? It's on the Twitter. And so since it is spring and we celebrated spring, we're going to say goodbye in a very unusual way. Are you guys up for it? Ready? Ready? We're going to say goodbye with the grass growing. See? The grass is growing. All right, so ready? When I say 3, we're all going to make the grass grow. All right, ready? Set. All right, goodbye, grass growing. Happy spring, you guys. Wonderful. See you next week. Bye-bye.